Notnerd Podcast, Episode 193, CTRL+ALT+DEL.
Welcome to the Notnerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. We've got all the best tech news of the week and some tips to help you use all that crazy technology in your life a little better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
I'm giving her all I got, Captain. Hello.
Hello.
That's a little bit of a Star Trek
I thought
reference.
Scotty was in the
room. In the house.
In the house.
Yes, it's just me for all those of you who were tricked.
Yes.
It's just me.
You are so tricky. Well, I did want to talk about, last week we were talking about the shortcuts, and I encouraged people to go out. I put some links in the show notes to go find some computer shortcuts that could help you out. And I am committing myself to, it's all about training yourself to use shortcuts better.
Yeah.
Because I know a bunch, but there's a lot I just never use. And we talked last week about the, Command tab or the Alt tab to be able to switch between apps quickly.
Yes.
And I was going to mention something that I use all the time is on my Apple, Command T or Control T on Windows to open a new tab in a web browser.
Oh, right.
We all spend a lot of time in our web browsers. Well, one of the ones I had forgotten about, I'm always like, there's got to be a way. I know how to switch between apps. There's got to be a good way to switch between all these tabs I have open in my web browser. Because like when I'm doing the podcast, the show notes and everything, I'm switching between a bunch of tabs. So it is very easy on Mac. You just hold down Command Option and hit the right and left arrows, and it'll quickly toggle between your tabs. Now, Dave, you're on an iPad. Does that work on your iPad?
I'm trying to test it now. It does not seem to be working for me, but I could be stupid too.
Yes. I would love to know the numbers, though, for the average person at work or at home. How much of our time on our computer is spent just in a web browser? We have these other applications, but I would say probably 90%. Of course, I do build websites for a good portion of my living, but we spend a lot of time in a web browser. So getting to know your web browser is always important.
Well, I figured it out. On an iPad, when you hold down the Command key for a number of seconds, it pops up all of the shortcut codes. And so on my setup here, it's Control-Shift-Tab to go to the previous tab.
Oh, okay.
And it would be probably Option Control Shift Tab to go forward. Nope, you can only go back. So I can scroll backwards through my tabs.
Okay.
So that works.
Well, that's something at least.
Yes, works just fine.
Very nice. Well, our follow-up, we have not talked about Snapchat for a while. I kept hoping it would just fade off into oblivion, but they have announced their new Snapchat Spectacles version 3 are coming in November for a reasonable $380, Dave.
I've got a pro tip for you. Just wear your regular glasses or sunglasses and get one of those Polaroid cubes and just stick it on the corner.
Stick it on each corner.
Yeah.
Now, these ones do have 2 HD cameras, one on each outside corner of the glasses so that it can do some more features. These are really for a unique, you have to be a pretty big Snapchat power user. They're kind of saying in the fashion world if you're doing a lot of Snapchat stuff, but I just don't. I just don't
get
know.
them.
I don't either. We've probably spent too much time talking about them because they're just not. I guess they're going to do some 3D stuff with the 2 cameras, so you could do a 3D viewer like Google Cardboard we've talked about, or the ones that came with your drone.
Well, this is one step towards a future with augmented reality and glasses from all the manufacturers. So this, it's a step in the right direction. They have to keep innovating, but this is definitely not the end game at all.
No. We talked a lot about the different music services, the streaming music services, and we've talked about some services before for getting your playlists if you're going to switch service or if you use multiple.
Yeah.
And I found one that I do not think we have mentioned before. It was recommended in one of the many articles I read, and it is called Soundiz. Sound. IIZ.
Soundiiz. Soundiz.
Yes. So they've got a free level, but they've also got, you could pay, if you were just switching to a new service, you could just easily sign up for a month if you had to. But they support a lot of different services. I see a Napster logo on there, iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube Music and iTunes and Spotify.
Is it free to use, or
they do have the free version, SoundCloud even. Wow. So the free version gives you some standard features. You can connect all your platforms. You can convert playlists one by one in standard tools. And then on the premium, which is only $4.50 a month or $3 if you do a full year per month, but you can do a lot more with that. So if it's something that you are looking for, it looks like this is a really good solution. I have not tried it because I thought about just kind of as a backup, maybe copying some of my Spotify, because I have a lot of Spotify playlists, copying them over to Apple Music just so they're there as well.
And famously, you have subscriptions to like all of them, so you'd be the ideal candidate to try them.
This is very correct. Is that a good sentence? This is very correct.
Yes, I think it is.
Disney Plus, we were just talking about that. They've announced the new service.
I'm excited.
Yes, and it looks like it will stream on most devices except for the Amazon Fire devices.
What?
So like the Fire TV devices. I don't know if that's just a omission for now. We still have a month or two before it even comes out. I thought that was pretty interesting that it would be on all kinds of devices except for whatever reason.
Yeah, Movie Plus, you can get that on Fire devices now, which is owned by Disney. Yeah. So it's odd that they would neglect that platform. It might
come in time. I have seen some more, and you were actually mentioning to me that this Disney service is looking pretty good and is going to put some pressure on the others, especially Netflix and Apple's new service. Competition is good for the consumer in this case, I believe. But we will hear more of that. And speaking of competition in the streaming space, we've talked before about Roku and the Roku devices. I tried one out for a while. Well, they have almost independent of their devices. You can do it on your phone or your tablet. They have the Roku channel.
Oh, I have not tried this.
Where they have a lot of content, and they're adding a kids and family section where it's got a lot of curated videos and movies and everything just for kids with like some parental control type stuff, which is great. We use YouTube Kids a lot for our daughter so that she can watch videos and know that it's kind of in a safe space for watching her Blippi episodes or whatever she's feeling like that day.
What is Blippi for me?
Blippi is a gentleman who dresses almost like a cartoonish character, and
it's a live action person who's doing this?
It is a live action person, and he has millions and millions of subscribers, and he'll go to like different children's museums, or it's actually pretty educational and he's somewhat entertaining, but the amount of energy this guy puts into his videos is pretty impressive.
I found one where I can learn the alphabet with Blippi.
Yes, he will teach you many things, especially at the end of every video. He teaches children how to spell Blippi so they can find him on YouTube. So I have heard that for some children, that is the first word they learn how to spell in this wild world that we live in. But a great parenting tip there. If you're looking for more content for your kids, the Roku channel is adding some more stuff there for you. And Dave, you had a little follow-up for us on something that we've talked about before.
Yeah, there's this guy called Blippi on YouTube I want to tell you about.
Real-time follow-up.
I've watched all of his videos.
Nice.
And I now know my ABCs. No, I thought we would talk about this real quick. I got this email from Credit Karma. We've talked about Credit Karma before. Back on episode 123 when we were talking about taxes and stuff, I had said, this is a couple years ago, I said, I'm going to do my taxes through Credit Karma instead of TurboTax. I've done that 2 years in a row. And then on 150, it was a pick of the week that you had done on episode 150. Well, the email said something to the effect of, "Hi, David. Credit Karma's identity monitoring service routinely checks to see if your email has been in a data breach." And I'm not sure if I knew that before, that they go through and monitor if you have an account with them. You sign up with an email, and then they have their ears out for any type of shenanigans that are going on. And it says, "It looks like your personal data may have been compromised. Not at Credit Karma," they're like, that's not us, "but at least one other data breach affecting another company." And the name of the service was Canva. I had just signed up for this thing. I guess it reported back in May 2019 there was a breach with Canva. And Canva describes himself as a simplified graphic design tool website founded in 2012. So back in May, they had a breach or whatever, and I had an account before then. So what it'll do is monitor your emails that you've signed up with the account for all these services out there that have been reported. Something else that's interesting regarding this is that there was one reported in May 2019 that's not disclosed. I wonder, was that Canva also, and then it was disclosed after? Maybe it was. But January 2019, my email appeared in a combo list. This is one of the lists that people compile of all these breaches and then sell it on various platforms. So in January, it was on 3 lists that somebody sold. And I know the service, it was some free web based thing where you can have a website for free.
Yeah.
And I signed up for the free website. And then a couple years ago, I found out that my username and password had been exposed. Fortunately, I had not used that password for any other services ever. It just goes to show you that the breaches are going to happen. Last week, the name of our show was Pull Up Your Breaches, and we talked about breaches. But I can't stress enough that if you're willing to do it, go ahead and sign up, and at least you're going to have someone looking on your behalf for this type of stuff.
Yes, I still highly recommend Credit Karma. I just logged into mine, and they found me in 36 data breaches. My 2 exposed passwords, one of them was password to show you that it was some service that I did not care about. And the other one was the old standard password that I used to use on everything, which I don't anymore. But I do show in May of 2019 a not disclosed as well as the Canva breach. So, Credit Karma has a ton of benefits for credit monitoring, but it's great that they're adding in some of these features as well.
And if you're leery, you should be, because how do these people make money? You got to think of a free service. I'm the product, right? Well, they will offer you ads and services from their partner companies that you might want to take advantage of.
Yes.
So that's how they make money, is if you sign up with a partner.
Yeah, credit cards a lot of times, because they're looking at your credit score so they can say, hey, your credit needs some help.
Yeah.
Why don't you sign up for this one? Or, ooh, you have amazing credit. Sign up for this one.
Yeah.
So Credit Karma, highly recommended service. Please just go sign up. Another highly recommended service, Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
So today I thought we could talk about something found on page 166 of Grandpa Bill's book.
Nice.
And this is how to thaw out a frozen device.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, so, I interact with people all the time. They're like, oh, my computer's locked up, or my phone's locked up, or I need to reset my phone, or my app is hung. I can't do anything about it. What do I do? Well, I thought I could quickly talk about on the different platforms what you can do to completely hard boot your system. Mm-hmm. Windows is known famously for being rather crashy and lock-uppy, if that's a word.
Lock-uppy.
And one way to combat that is our old standby friend, CTRL+ALT+DEL. It is part of our culture, CTRL+ALT+DEL. And I think, remind me if I'm wrong, I think you have to hit it twice to make it.
Yes, it'll bring up.
It'll bring up a task manager.
Yes, it brings up a menu, and then you do it again. But yes, Control-Alt-Delete.
So if you're a Windows user and just nothing is working, stuff is not doing what it should be, and your computer is frozen, Control-Alt-Delete a couple times should restart the computer. If not, you might just have to unplug it. Occasionally, depending on the model or style of computer, you can hold down the power button for a few seconds to do that. But let's move on to the Mac. Yes, Macs, as much as we praise them, are very susceptible to some of the same problems as other computing platforms. Maybe not as often, but still, there are issues. And the trick there is to press Command-Option-Escape, and that will bring up a menu where you can kill various apps like a task manager. And if it's still not fixing your problem, you'll have to hold down the power key for a few seconds, whether it's an iMac or a MacBook or whatever. And after like 5 seconds, it'll reset the computer. Yeah. So moving on to mobile devices and iPhones, it gets a little complicated. iPhones lock up all the time. So how do you combat that? Well, if you have an older device, an iPhone 6 or older, you hold the power, that's the top button, and the home button at the same time, you hold it for a few seconds, it'll reset the device. If you have an iPhone 7, here we start to fall off the rails.
Yeah.
You hold the power button, which is on the side, we'll call it the side button, and the volume down button for a few seconds, and it'll reset the device, much like the power in the home. It's now power and volume down because there is no physical home button on the 7. And then on the iPhone 8 and 10, now the 8 shares this form factor with iPhone 7, but they changed it anyway. You're supposed to press and release the volume up. So click volume up, press and release volume down, click volume down, and then hold the side button, which is also the power button. And you do that for a number of seconds and it will reset your device. Now, also on the iPhone 10 and 10R and 10S and all the 10 varieties, that's the same way. So the 8 and 10, volume up, volume down, hold the power button, resets. As a side note, if you hold down the side button and one of the volume buttons at the same time, if you wait long enough, it will evoke emergency services.
Oh, yes.
So you probably
be careful
not to get an ambulance called for you. And then on Android, I looked it up, very similar to the iPhone 7. You do the power and the volume down at the same time, which is probably why they chose that for the 7, is to kind of make it like other devices.
Sure with all the different Android devices out there, it could vary quite a bit. But quick Google search will be your friend. It's just good to remember that even though they are these phone devices, they're much like a computer, and sometimes they just need to be reset.
Yeah, they are a computer in your pocket, basically. So don't fret if you are confronted with a device that's locked up. There is a key combination somewhere that will unlock the full potential of your device, get it back to where it's going so that you can tech better, my friend.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our takes for the week after that. Helpful tips. This first one's kind of been the techno panic story of the week. People needed something to talk about. And iFixit, who provides a wealth of information on repairing devices of all types, but they are also very big proponents of the right to repair, being able to fix your own stuff, came out with a story talking about Apple is restricting the features on if you have a third-party battery in your iPhone that it won't, they made it very sensationalized.
Yeah.
Well, Apple came out with a statement, and that's what I linked to in the show notes, where they're saying, hey, these are delicate devices. If we can't verify that this is an authorized iPhone battery in your phone, we can't give you some of the battery data. We just can't trust it.
Because we don't know if it's accurate.
We don't know if it's accurate. It could be I'm guessing there's probably some security issue to it too, that where they could, if a battery with some sort of something is put in there and gives you some bad information or is just reporting it, it's not going to... You could still use a third-party battery. You're just not going to get all of the data. And if you go into your battery health, it'll say, hey, we can't confirm this battery. So it's not this doom and gloom thing that everybody was worried about. It was actually just a feature of, hey, you know what? We can't trust these. They announced it, I believe it was almost a year ago with the new version of iOS then, that, hey, we've got to put some of this stuff in, especially after the Samsung phones all exploding. And
well, there used to be a time where you didn't get any diagnostic information on your batteries. Apple generously started including that information and saying, hey, your battery health is up or your battery health is down, or here's how long it'll last before it dies. They started including that. My guess is some clever person has found a way to put firmware in the battery that can jailbreak an iPhone by sending bad diagnostic data into it through this method. And so Apple is shutting that down and saying, if we cannot verify with our tools that this is a clean battery, it'll still work, but we're not going to do any data management between the battery and the device.
Which I just looked at the battery health on my phone, which is almost a year old now, and it shows...
A whole year?
100% of capacity on there, which I was impressed. I thought it would be lower than that.
I'm going to look at mine real quick. Oh, sad news for me. Mine shows 98% capacity. Man. Well, that's the last charge level. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong spot.
Oh, yeah, go into the battery health.
Okay, I was looking at the wrong. 97%. Oof. Okay, it was even worse than I thought.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know why mine is showing 100. It should not be that with as much as I use it. But
well, maybe you need to do a hard reset on your phone to reboot it and try it again.
Luckily, next month, it looks like, quick side note, September 10th is looking when the new iPhones will be announced. Apple will be having their event, so we're less than a month away as we record for whatever's coming next from Apple.
And Nate, you're going to be getting the biggest, baddest, whatever they release. Is that correct?
Well, I actually, because I did go for the iPhone XS Max this year, if the features, like the camera features, are on par between the Max and the regular size, I think I'm going to go back to the smaller size.
Very good.
Yeah, I think it was nice having the bigger screen, but it does get a little clunky when it's always in my shirt pocket.
Yeah.
Now that I'm wearing smaller shirts, it just gets a little more awkward. So I think having the smaller one, I've got great eyes.
Yeah.
I don't think that there'd be a reason unless they have some better features on the Max.
Well, and as you have shrunk, your phone can shrink.
Yes, I like it. Tumblr.
Mm-hmm.
I think
all of our listeners probably just know what that is.
Yes, Tumblr is a micro-blogging social site that has been around for a very long time. We've probably mentioned it before on the show.
And we have to say it's spelled Tumblr.
Yes.
There's no other vowel in there.
And this was originally a great service started by some great people. Then I believe maybe it was Yahoo that bought it, that sold it to AOL. Verizon ended up with it. And Verizon wasn't doing anything with it. Famously maybe famously in the tech world, last year they made the decision, or earlier this year, to remove all the adult content off of it because it was rife with adult content and spam and all this stuff, so they kind of narrowed that down. But I was actually listening to an interview this week with the people buying it, and they were talking, as they started looking at it, they just could not believe how many just committed users are on there every day. And there's a lot of meme content, and somebody was talking about, they're a big Marvel fan, and there's a lot of Marvel fan fiction and art that's shared on there. Well, it was announced this week that WordPress, the owners of WordPress,
of whom we are fans.
Yes, that's what I build all my websites on. They run more than a third of the web on WordPress websites. Automatic is the parent company. They're purchasing Tumblr. And so the interview I listened to was the CEO of WordPress, or of Automatic, and he was talking about how excited they are, how many things they want to do with it. And I think they got it for a steal. I think Yahoo bought it for like $30 million or something like that.
Or like $3 billion, I thought.
Maybe $3 billion, and it sold for like $3 million to WordPress. But Verizon didn't want it. It was just grouped in with all this other stuff they bought. But it'll be exciting to see. I, at times, have used the platform.
So Automatic reportedly bought Tumblr for less than $3 million, a stunning drop in value from the $1.1 billion that Yahoo paid in 2013.
And it's gone through several companies since then and was just kind of lumped in with some of the other services. So they got a good deal on it, and they're bringing on, I think, all 200 employees into their thing and looking to really kind of revitalize and maximize. There's a lot of people that don't like some of our current social media options.
I listened to that same interview, and one of the things I didn't think of is that there are things that Tumblr can do that has integrated services like payments and various things that you can't do on WordPress right now without going to an external third-party resource. And so I think this company Automatic is looking to integrate some of those services that they don't currently offer through their first-party tool. And so I think it's going to be a win-win for the web browser community, and it's going to be a win-win for the Tumblr community, who are going to have an injection of money and I guess authority and
direction.
Yes,
because Verizon was basically ignoring it, and he said in the interview that the Tumblr team, these 200 people, have created all these great features, but they haven't rolled them out because why?
There's no
they're just showing up and doing enough to get a paycheck until something happens. So Tumblr, go check it out if you would like. Minecraft.
Oh boy. I could talk about Minecraft all day, so settle in, everybody.
Yes. Well, Microsoft had announced that they were going to have a super duper graphics pack, and then they announced that they are canceling the super duper graphics pack. So Minecraft is famously very simple graphics, very blocky graphics, very successful game and universe, and they were planning to do this big rollout of really
like
improving everything.
Yeah, fancy lighting and textures and keeping with the blocky motif, but everything looks kind of photorealistic if you have the appropriate hardware and graphics cards and stuff.
And that's what they kind of found out, is that the cross-platform stuff it wouldn't be supporting enough. So I did see an update that they're going to improve some things, but this super duper graphics pack that they were really touting is just going to go away. So,
well, I think they're going to leave it available for a very specific card. If you have like the NVIDIA XYZ PDQ, you can get it. But if you have a Xbox or the Switch or your iOS or an Android device, none of those things are going to get it.
Gotcha. Yep. So Microsoft thought they could do something and couldn't quite pull it off, but that happens in the world of technology.
We may see it in the future as hardware gets more sophisticated.
That's true. And this is something we've noticed this a lot when we're doing show links and stuff. We'll pass stuff back and forth. And if you open a link to an iOS app on your computer, it used to be it would pop open iTunes. You could download the app. It would download on your phone, all this stuff. Well, they took some of that away, and you would click and it would just be like, pull up a web page that would say, this
is a very lame web page.
Yeah. This app is only available on iOS in the iOS App Store, so you're kind of just stuck unless you pulled out your phone, did a search again, found it. Well, they've improved that again. They've given you a page with ratings and reviews, a lot more of the details, screenshots, so basically everything besides getting the app. I wish they'd do it like Google Play Store, where you could click and it would just automatically download to your phone. Maybe that's coming.
Maybe.
But yeah, so you get a lot more info there, and they're also doing some more of the articles, like the highlights that you see in the App Store when you open it up. They're making those available on the internet. What a novel idea. So you can actually look at them on a computer.
It just really broadens their market of people who can see these, because like you said, if you don't have the particular device right in front of you at the moment, you can't view it. So now people on other platforms, or if you're not in front of your favorite device, can see these type of things.
Yeah. Article that I found that was pretty interesting. So the short-term rental booking sites like Airbnb, some of these other ones, and it was a report. You can buy the full report talking about the statistics, but the thing that I thought was interesting, that they're estimating, based on current numbers, that 70% of all short-term booking in 2019 will be done on one of these web sites instead of like direct with a hotel or any of that stuff.
Wow.
That these aggregators for this, Airbnb, Expedia, TripAdvisor, then there's a couple that I hadn't heard of, but 70% in it's like $115 billion market, which is just crazy.
Yeah. But you got to think that the people who own these businesses and hotels and homes, if it makes it easier for people to book those rooms, there's less friction. It's got to be worth something to them to do that.
Totally. I agree with that. So you can read plenty more on that report if you would like from skift.com, which I've never heard of before. It must be something with the vacation industry or something that I don't follow very closely. Our security and privacy story of the week. I thought this was interesting. We mentioned last week that DEF CON and Black Hat, the two big conferences, were going on. So DEF CON, just to give you a little history on it, this was DEF CON 27. It started out with just a small gathering of hackers. Now there's 30,000 people there.
Wow.
So as they were asking people, why are people still getting hacked? And one of the things that I thought was very interesting was they were talking about it's the same. Why is stuff still stolen? Thievery has happened for the entirety of humanity. People have stolen stuff, and it would be great to fix that, but we can't fix that. People are always going to find a new way. They did talk a lot about people just aren't educated well. There's a lot of groups of people, especially older people that aren't digital natives, that just don't understand the complexity of security. Passwords, using the same passwords everywhere is a big one, which we try to remind you all the time. That's one of the biggest problems. And they also asked what's something the cybersecurity community needs to do better. And this is where they talked about they need to diversify. They need to bring in some of these other people groups so that they can understand. Cybersecurity needs to spend time with a wide group of people instead of just their hacker buddies.
Yeah.
they need to go out and see how people understand things and really try to get, market research. And that's, cybersecurity is a huge, huge industry, obviously, with all the ransomware and all the big corporations and the breaches that go on. But they just really need to work on simplifying, much like the Notnerd podcast aims to do, of giving information to people that they can actually use and understand how they're getting hacked, how this stuff is happening. So I thought it was pretty interesting to kind of talk to some of these people that are neck deep in this stuff every day, and they understand really, hey, we've got to educate people better. We've got to really look at not like a lot of companies. A cybersecurity company will come in with a lot of big words and say, hey, you got to give us $100,000 and we can do this, this, and this, and you have no clue, instead of really educating people, hey, here's how we can work with you to make your stuff more secure.
Cool.
So I like that, kind of a good side of the security story. Is always nice when we can do one of those for a week.
Yep.
Our bonus odd take of the week, we've talked about similar websites and services before.
Wayback Machine, archive.org. What's this one?
This one's a new one called the Version Museum.
Now, where are they getting their information from? Do you think they're pulling it from archive.org?
I would guess a lot of it is. And what makes this more unique is you have the history of websites like Amazon, Apple, Facebook. You can see those through all the years. Like Google.com, they have from 1996 to 2019, 41 different images. New York Times. Then they also have operating system histories. So your Mac OS, Microsoft Windows, you can go back, look through all the different versions of that.
So the first one I want to talk about real quick that's on this page is Amazon.com. And they had some weird font that you wouldn't even recognize. And it specifically says, welcome to the Earth's biggest bookstore. Many of you listening may not remember that Amazon.com used to be a bookstore.
Yes.
And I took the opportunity this weekend as we went to the mall to educate my son, much to his non-delight, about Amazon's history, because we walked by the Amazon bookstore in the mall. And I said, Sam, this is why this is ironic. Amazon.com used to be an online bookstore. It put all of the physical bookstores out of business. Yeah. And now it's opening its own bookstore in the mall. And I'm like, how crazy is that?
It's come full circle. Yeah, there was Walden Books, and there was one other one that were in every single mall. These
Borders.
Oh, yeah. And even pre-Border. There was one other one like way back in the 90s. But yeah, in 1995, they were 1.5 million books in print and 1 million out-of-print books is what they were touting for their site. But you can keep going down. They also do application histories, so you can go back and look at like iTunes or Microsoft Word. View game histories, so like Grand Theft Auto or all the different version of Super Mario Karts. Yeah. So from what I saw, this is just a father-son anonymous duo that's gathering all this information from different locations and trying to put it there, but a fun little time capsule. We like to bring those up every once in a while to see how far we've come pretty quickly, because most of this stuff, was the 90s is kind of the earliest you're going to see in here when computers really came on the scene.
Well, I mean, before that, it was black screen with green text. So.
Yes. But yeah, fun little site, versionmuseum.com, just as it would be spelled in the dictionary. Also, the way it's spelled in the dictionary, our picks of the week.
Man, some of your segues need some help. I looked on our website, and we have never talked about this app before, or at least we didn't record it on our, I'm sure we've talked about it. This is an oldie but a goodie. This is an iOS application available for both iPhone and iPad. And school is going to be starting here in Oregon in the next couple of weeks. And there are going to be ball games and events and different things. And one application that I find indispensable is Scorekeeper. Now, Scorekeeper is a simple but beautifully rendered scorekeeping device. You can put in the names of various people. I could say we're going to be playing a particular card game with Nate and me and his wife, Chelsea, and my wife, Valerie. You put all four of their names in there, and then it's got this funky, I'll show it to you, Nate.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the funky thing. You can choose what color. Like, I want to be orange, and so I'll put my name in there. And I'll make you, let's add another person. I'll just do Nate to make it easy. And you look like a magenta person. So Nate for there. And now all you have to do, there's a little plus and minus signs next to the names, and you can add those, and it kind of keeps track of how many taps you do. So you have 10 points. I have 3. And I think if I go above 10, I move to the top of the list, or at least that was a feature that you could always see who's on top. I have that frozen, but it's just really cool. It's kind of a single-use application that is designed impeccably. Yeah. And so if you need to keep score, Scorekeeper is the way to do it on iOS for the large price of free.
Wow.
So
nice. Simple app, one of those single-use apps. It's probably listed on that site that we talked about a while ago, where it's just a single purpose. And I was on a family reunion last week, and we were playing some Yahtzee and
that would have been perfect.
And that would be a good one.
And
I like it.
I did find the sort order. You can just freeze it by alphabetical or sort it by your score to put the highest on top. So very, very cool.
Nice. Well, my pick of the week this week is another podcast.
What?
I know. I shouldn't be doing this, but
better be a cooking podcast or something.
I do have an interesting take. So the person is Rich Demura, and he is with KTLA down in the Los Angeles area. Okay. He does a tech segment on the news there, and he does a radio program. But he puts out a podcast, I believe, just once a week, and then he'll do some special ones for different events. But as I've mentioned many times, I have listened to many tech podcasts, and many of them either get way into the weeds or they get way off topic, just not what I need. But I've really been enjoying his podcasts lately. Now, you might be saying, well, are you shutting down Notnerd and you want us to go listen to that? No, but I do challenge you to go listen, because I think this is an important... I was trying to think what makes him different, because he's actually been talking recently very similar to how we talk about Notnerd, wanting to help the average person use technology. And the difference is, I want you guys to listen and see what you think, because his full-time job is technology. He gets flown to all these events. He's in all the Apple things. He gets sent all kinds of free stuff. So he has a very different perspective, which many tech podcasts are coming from. Like I talked about, they get 10 different phones in a year, so they're trying every single phone, and they can pick the one little thing they like best. They're forced to, for their job, write reviews or do reviews all the time, so they almost get tech overload. But I do think he has a pretty good balance. But it'd be interesting to listen to Notnerd and then listen to him, which it's a similar format. He kind of talks through the news, answers some questions, gives some tips, just to see that different perspective from us, who are pretty much two normal guys.
We're just amateurs doing this for fun.
Yeah, we love technology. It's part of our jobs, but it's also, we're just living technology, whereas it's a very much more professional. I will say he's more polished. He's a newscaster, so he's been through training on all that stuff.
What I mean is, podcasting is a hobby for us, and but we do technology for our jobs. That is correct.
But if you're looking for a little more technology news, maybe a little different look on things, there's some things I don't agree with him with on sometimes, but for the most part, he's pretty spot on. It's kind of a Clark Howard of tech podcasting, where he just gives some good advice, and he's got a co-host producer that she kind of chimes in and gives him a hard time.
Well, I like the idea that he does more of a middle of the road, because a lot of these tech podcasts and shows and YouTube channels get so deep and so technical that the average person can't keep up.
Yeah, so check out Rich on Tech. Let us know if you leave Notnerd for Rich, if he's better than us. But I've been enjoying it, and I figured we could all learn more about technology. I mean, I do this podcast, but I still listen to his just to see if there's something I missed or anything else going on out there.
Well, good.
Which brings us to our Ramazon pick of the week. We love it when you guys go to any of the Amazon links on our site or show notes or amazon.notnerd.com, bookmark it, and then every time you shop at Amazon, we get a little kickback, and it doesn't cost you anything extra, so you get to support us for
and
free.
if you bookmark it in your browser, it doesn't even cost you an extra click.
No, it's simple. And we look through the anonymous report each week to find what you guys are buying. And Dave, I don't think this is you. You do have an affinity for lighting, as we know in the studio. You have Alexa hooked up with all kinds of different lighting options.
I can turn on things.
But I don't know if you purchased the Abtob Fairy String Lights USB Fairy Lights, powered 5 meter, 16.54 feet RGB LED string lights with app, music, starry fairy lights, Bluetooth connected string lights, waterproof with timer for bedroom patio.
I got the ones without the app part. No, I did not order those.
You did not order these. So what they are is it's a long string light with some bigger lights and some other lights on there, but it supposedly will play along with your music. There's an app on your phone where you can change the colors, more than 16 million colors.
Holy manoli.
29 different dynastic modes. You can sync to music, timer function, brightness speed control from 1 to 100%.
That used to be my nickname in college, Dynastic Dave.
Yeah. Custom to create your great LED moonlighting. Bluetooth 4.0 long distance control range. So, just a fun little lighting kit for a kid's room or something. This would be great to play around with. They got a picture of it with a tree or doing different artistic things. So, Dave, I'll pull up the picture just so you can. It's got a USB power thing, and then it looks like there's some sort of control pad on the actual lighting,
which is better than mine. Mine's got one button that turns it on and off, and then if you tap, it'll tap through the colors. You have to use the app to do anything else.
Oh, gotcha. So this does give you a little bit of control.
It's like a built-in remote control.
Yes. So 15 meters, 16.54 feet. So that's a pretty good distance on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun looking little device. Dave, what would you pay for the Abtog Fairy String Lights, USB Fairy Lights powered 5 meter?
Etc. I'm thinking this device is going to be about $18.97.
Well, if you did, you'd be getting a deal because it is only $10.82.
Wow.
With free Prime 1 day. So
that's cheap.
I might even pick one of these up. This would be fun for my daughter's room or something like that.
Yeah. And it does work with Alexa, right? You said that?
I didn't know if it does with their app. I don't see Alexa. You could probably figure it out somehow.
Well, that's one of the reasons I got the one that I got, and it was a little bit more. So yeah, the ones that have just basic controls you can get pretty cheap, so that seems like a good price for that.
Yes. So check that out. And also make sure you check out our YouTube channel, check us out on iTunes, tell a friend about the podcast, somebody that needs to learn a little bit more about the stuff we talk about. If people are always asking you questions, what we've started doing, I don't want to give people tech support anymore. I just send them, hey, go listen to the podcast.
Yeah, it helps us and it helps everybody. And don't forget, if you go to our website, we'll have the number at the top that you can even call in. It's 608-618 NERD. That's 608-618-6373.
Yeah, and you can call or text that number. It's a Google Voice number, so you can send us a text message. We've been getting some text messages on there. You can also check us out at Patreon if you want to support us that way, if you don't like Amazon for some weird reason. But with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode, so get out there and tech better. It's because it's an endlessly scrolling site, and so it.
I hate infinite scrolls. I want the footer. Give me the footer. Can you roll your R's?
No.
You can't roll your R's?
No, rolled R's.
I want to hear you try. Okay. I regret that.
Yes.